You spent 12 years in school, maybe more. You learned to read, you learned to write, you learned about history, about science, about the countries of the world. Your teachers worked hard. Your parents paid for your education, and you studied. But here is something almost nobody talks about. In all those years, in all those classrooms, did anyone sit you down and explain how money actually works? Did anyone teach you the difference between an asset and a liability? Did anyone show you how compound interest can either build your future or destroy it? Did anyone tell you that a salary alone will probably never make you wealthy? No, they did not. And that silence has a cost, a very real, very expensive cost. This is a lesson for English learners who want a richer life and a richer mind. Because the people who are winning with money today did not get lucky. They did not inherit a secret. They simply learned a different set of rules. Rules that most schools ignore. Rules that most families never discuss. Rules that wealthy people use quietly every single day. The rules exist, you just were never shown them. Today, that changes. We are going to go through 7 of these rules together. Not theory, not complicated finance language, just clear, honest principles that will change the way you think about money from this moment forward. Rule 1 will show you why most people feel stuck, no matter how hard they work. Rule 2 will give you one simple habit that wealthy people start early. Rule 3 will change the way you see money itself. Rule 4 will show you why time is your most valuable financial asset. Rule 5 will challenge the way you spend. Rule 6 will open your eyes to how wealthy people structure their income. And Rule 7 will show you why financial knowledge is not optional. It is self-defense. By the end of this lesson, you will not look at money the same way. You will see the game more clearly. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. If that sounds like what you need right now, subscribe to this channel. There is more coming and you do not want to miss it. Now, let us begin. Rule 1. The difference between assets and liabilities. This is the foundation. This is the rule that changes everything. And it is so simple that most people cannot believe schools never taught it. Here it is. An asset puts money into your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. That is it. That is the whole rule. Rich people spend their lives buying assets. Most people spend their lives buying liabilities and calling them assets. That one mistake, repeated over years and decades, is the reason why so many hardworking people end up with very little. Let me make this simple. A house you live in is not an asset. It costs you money every month. Mortgage payments, repairs, property taxes, insurance. Money flows out. That is a liability. A house that other people pay rent to live in, while it covers its own costs and puts extra money in your pocket every month, that is an asset. A car is not an asset. The moment you drive it away, it loses value. It needs fuel. It needs repairs. Money flows out. Liability. A business that runs without you needing to be there every hour, that generates income while you sleep, that is an asset. Stocks that pay dividends. Content that earns advertising money. A skill that you can sell again and again without starting from zero each time. Assets. Robert Kiyosaki, the author of one of the most widely read books on personal finance, built his entire philosophy around this one idea. He watched his own father, a highly educated man, work hard his whole life and retire with almost nothing. Why? Because his father spent decades buying liabilities while believing he was being responsible. A bigger house, a nicer car, things that looked like success from the outside, but quietly drained money from the inside. Meanwhile, the wealthy people Kiyosaki studied did something different. They were not always the smartest people in the room. They were not always the hardest workers. But they were disciplined about one thing. Before they spent money on things that made them look successful, they spent money on things that made them more money. Assets first, lifestyle second. A poor mindset says, I will buy the things I deserve after I work hard. A wealthy mindset says, I will buy the things that work hard for me first and enjoy the rest later. This is not about being cheap. This is not about denying yourself everything. It is about sequence. It is about understanding that buying assets early creates the freedom to buy whatever you want later. Buying liabilities first creates the trap that keeps most people working forever just to stay in place. Think about the people you know who earn good money but are always stressed about bills. It is almost never because they earn too little. Look closer and you will usually find a pattern of liability spending. The new phone every year, the car payment that stretches the budget, the subscription services that add up to hundreds every month. Small liabilities stacked on top of each other until the whole pile feels impossible to move. Now think about what happens when you flip that. When even a small portion of your income goes towards something that generates more income. A small investment, a digital product, a rental income, something that works while you rest. It starts small. It always starts small, but it grows. The rules exist. You just were never shown them. And rule 1 is this. Learn a difference between what puts money in and what takes money out. Then make a decision every single time you spend about which side of that line you are choosing. Rule 2. Pay yourself first. This sounds simple. It sounds like something you have heard before, but most people hear it and nod and then do nothing, because most people have the order completely wrong. Here is how the average person handles money when it arrives. They pay rent. They pay the electricity bill. They buy groceries. They fill the car with fuel. They pay for the phone. They cover the credit card minimum. And then if anything is left at the end of the month, they think about saving. But here is the problem. There is almost never anything left at the end of the month. You know why? Because expenses expand to fill whatever money is available. This is not a personal failure. It is a pattern. It happens to almost everyone who does not have a system. If you have $100 free, you will find $100 worth of things to spend it on. If you have 50, you will find $50 worth. The money disappears because you let it. Wealthy people understand this, so they change the order. The moment money arrives, before the rent, before the groceries, before anything else, a fixed amount goes directly to savings or investment. Not what is left over, not what feels comfortable, a fixed amount. First, every time. Dave Ramsey, one of the most well-known financial coaches in the world, has spent decades teaching ordinary people how to escape debt and build wealth. And one of his core principles is exactly this. Decide in advance what percentage of your income belongs to your future. Then protect that amount like it is not yours to spend. Because it is not. It belongs to the person you are building yourself into. Start with 10%. If 10% feels impossible, start with 5. If 5 feels impossible, start with 1. The amount matters less than the habit. The habit is everything. A young man named Daniel started putting aside just $10 a week when he was 22 years old. $10. That is less than the cost of 2 cups of coffee in many cities. His friends laughed. They told him $10 would never make a difference. But Daniel did not stop. He increased the amount slowly every few months as his income grew. He never missed a week. He never touched the money. And he never waited to see what was left over at the end of the month. He paid himself first every single time. That discipline, built from almost nothing, became the foundation of everything he built later. Here's what most people miss. Paying yourself first is not really about the money. It is about sending a message to yourself. It is about saying, my future matters. My security matters. I am not going to let every other person and every other bill take everything before I take care of myself. A strong mindset says, I decide where my money goes before anyone else does. A weak mindset says, I will save whatever is left and wonders every month why there is nothing left. Automate it if you can. Set up a transfer that happens the same day your income arrives. Make it invisible. Make it automatic. Remove the decision entirely. Because when saving requires willpower, every single month willpower eventually loses. The system wins. Build the system. Pay yourself first, not second, not last, first. Rule 3. Money is a tool, not a goal. Stay with me on this one, because this rule is not about numbers, it is about the way you think. And the way you think about money determines almost everything else. Most people grow up with one of two unhealthy relationships with money. Either they worship it, they think about it constantly. They measure their worth by how much they have. They feel ashamed when they have too little and anxious when they have enough because they are afraid of losing it. Money controls their emotions completely. Or they fear it. They avoid looking at their bank account. They feel uncomfortable talking about prices and salaries and investments. They tell themselves that money is not that important, that rich people are greedy, that wanting more somehow makes you a bad person. And so they never learn, and so they stay stuck. Both of these relationships produce the same result: struggle. Here is the truth that wealthy people understand from early on. Money is not good or bad. Money is not a measure of your value as a human being. Money is not the point of your life. Money is a tool, like a hammer, like a car, like a phone. It does what you direct it to do. Used well, it builds freedom. It creates security. It opens doors. It gives you choices. Used badly, it builds debt and stress and a life that feels smaller than it should. The goal is never the money itself. The goal is what the money makes possible. Freedom to choose your work. Security to weather a difficult season. Time to spend with the people you love. The ability to help others without checking your balance first. These are the real goals. Money is simply the vehicle that gets you there. And like any vehicle, you need to learn how to drive it. You would not hand someone the keys to a car and expect them to drive safely without any lessons. But that is exactly what we do with money. We hand young people their first paycheck and expect them to manage it wisely with zero training, zero framework, and zero instruction. Then we wonder why so many people crash. When you see money as a tool, something shifts. You stop being emotional about it. You start being strategic. You ask different questions, not just how do I get more, but what do I want this money to build? What does my financial life look like in 5 years if I use this tool well? What does it look like if I keep using it the way I have been? Jim Rohn, one of the most respected voices in personal development, said something that stayed with many people who heard it. That formal education teaches you how to make a living, but self-education teaches you how to make a fortune. He was not talking about getting rich quickly. He was talking about the decision to learn, to take your own financial education seriously, to stop waiting for someone else to teach you what schools never did. The rules exist, you just were never shown them. And rule 3 is this: change your relationship with money before you try to change your balance. See it clearly. See it as a tool. Remove the shame. Remove the worship. Pick it up. Learn how it works. And then decide deliberately and calmly what you want to build with it. You are not chasing money. You are learning to use it. There is a difference, a very big difference. People who chase money spend their lives running. People who learn to use money spend their lives building. People who master money spend their lives choosing. Which one do you want to be? Rule 4. The cost of waiting. Now think about this. 2 people, same age, 22 years old, same income, same city, same starting point in life. Everything equal. Person 1 starts putting aside a small amount of money every month at age 22. Not a lot, just a consistent, modest amount. They do it for 10 years, and then they stop completely. They never add another dollar after age 32. Person 2 waits. They tell themselves they will start when things are more stable, when the job is better, when the rent goes down, when life gets a little easier. They finally start saving at age 32, and they continue every single month until they are 65. More than 30 years of consistent saving. At the end, who has more money? Person 1, by a significant amount. How is that possible? Person 2, saved for more than 3 times as long. Person 2 never stopped. And yet the person who started early and then stopped completely ends up ahead. The answer is compound interest, and it is one of the most powerful forces in personal finance. Here is how it works. When your money earns a return, that return gets added to your total. Then your total earns a return. Then that larger total earns an even larger return. The growth feeds itself. It builds on itself. Slowly at first, almost invisibly. And then, after enough time, it accelerates in a way that feels almost impossible to believe until you see the numbers. Time is the ingredient that makes compound growth work. Not intelligence, not a high salary, not a perfect investment. Time. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history, started investing at age 11. He has said himself that most of his wealth came not from being the smartest investor in the room, but from starting early and letting time do the work. He understood something that most people only realize too late. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is today. A young man named Daniel, the same Daniel who started saving $10 a week at 22, understood this instinctively. He did not wait for the perfect moment. He did not wait until he had a bigger income or a clearer plan. He started with what he had when he had it, because he understood one thing deeply. Every year he waited was a year of compound growth he could never get back. And that is the real cost of waiting. It is not just the money you fail to save. It is the growth on that money, and the growth on that growth. Year after year after year, silently disappearing because you told yourself you would start later. Later is expensive. Later is the most expensive word in personal finance. Think about your own life for a moment. Not with shame, not with regret, just honestly. How many years have already passed where you told yourself you would start later? 5 years? 10 years? More. Those years are gone. You cannot get them back. But here is what you can do. You can refuse to lose the next 5 years the same way. Because here is what most people do not understand about compound growth. It rewards the present version of you for decisions made years ago. The person who started at 22 is not lucky. They are simply collecting on a decision they made when it was inconvenient, when the amount felt too small to matter, when every logical excuse to wait was sitting right in front of them. They started anyway. If you are serious about your financial future, subscribe right now. The next rules are the ones most people never reach, and they are the ones that change everything. The wealthy do not have more time than you. They simply started using their time differently. They understood that in the world of money, waiting is not neutral. Waiting is a decision. And like every decision, it has a price. Start now, with whatever you have, with however little it feels like. Start. Rule 5, the identity trap. Here is the truth about why most people stay broke even when they earn decent money. It is not the big expenses that destroy most budgets. It is not the rent. It is not the electricity bill. It is not even the emergencies. Those are real costs, yes, but the deeper problem is something most people never examine. Something that lives not in their wallet, but in their identity. Most people spend money to look like the person they want to be, rather than to become the person they want to be. Read that again slowly. They buy the expensive shoes because successful people wear nice shoes. They upgrade the phone because successful people have the latest technology. They go to the expensive restaurant because successful people eat well. They drive the car that signals arrival even when the monthly payment signals something very different to their bank account. This is not weakness. This is not stupidity. This is deeply human. We are social creatures. We care deeply about how we appear to others. And modern marketing understands this better than most people understand themselves. Every advertisement you see is selling you an identity, not a product. Buy this and you will be this kind of person. Wear this and people will see you this way. Drive this and feel this way about yourself. And it works. It works extraordinarily well. There was a woman named Clara who earned a solid income for 20 years. She was good at her job. She was promoted. She earned more as the years passed. And yet, at the end of those 20 years, she had almost nothing saved. When she finally sat down and looked honestly at where her money had gone, the pattern was clear. Every time her income increased, her spending increased to match it. New apartment, newer car, better clothes, nicer holidays. Each upgrade felt earned. Each upgrade felt reasonable. And each upgrade quietly consumed every extra dollar before it ever had a chance to grow. This is called lifestyle inflation. And it is one of the most common and least discussed reasons why high earners end up financially fragile. Clara was not irresponsible. She was not careless. She was human. She was doing what the people around her were doing. She was spending to signal success instead of spending to build it. The wealthy people who built real, lasting financial security did something different. They learned to separate identity from spending. They understood that what you drive and what you wear and where you eat says very little about where you are going financially. It says a lot about where your money is going right now. A builder mindset says, I will live below what I earn today so I can live above what most people earn tomorrow. A consumer mindset says, I earned this money, I deserve to enjoy it now, and figures out the rest later. The question is not whether you deserve nice things. You probably do. The question is whether the nice things you are buying today are costing you the financial freedom you want tomorrow. Look at your last 30 days of spending, not with judgment, just with honesty. How much of it went toward things that build your future? How much went toward things that simply maintained or upgraded your image? This is not about living like a monk. This is not about cutting every small pleasure from your life. It is about awareness. It is about choosing consciously rather than spending automatically. The most dangerous spending is the spending you do not notice. The subscriptions that quietly renew. The upgrades that feel small individually but add up to hundreds every month. The daily purchases that feel too minor to count but count enormously over time. Notice where your money goes. Then ask yourself one honest question. Is this spending building the life I want? Or is it performing the life I want to look like I have? There is a difference. A very expensive difference. Rule 6. One source of income is not enough. Here is the truth, and it is one that most people do not want to hear because it asks something difficult of them. A salary is a single rope. It holds you up as long as nothing cuts it. But one unexpected event, a company downsizing, a health crisis, an industry that disappears overnight, and that single rope breaks. And when it breaks, everything falls at once. The rent, the food, the school fees, everything that depended on that one rope comes down together. Wealthy people do not build with ropes. They build nets. A net is not one strong line. A net is many lines woven together so that if one breaks, the others hold. Multiple streams of income work exactly like this. Not because wealthy people are greedy and want more than their share, but because they understand that financial security is not about how much any single stream pays. It is about how many streams are flowing. Think about the people you know who seem genuinely calm about money. Not the ones who flash expensive things. Not the ones who talk loudly about what they earn. The ones who are quietly, consistently secure. The ones who do not panic when something unexpected happens. Look more carefully at how their income is structured. almost always you will find more than one source. Maybe it is a job and a small rental property. Maybe it is a salary and a side business they built slowly over evenings and weekends. Maybe it is employment income and dividend payments from investments they started years ago. The specific streams are less important than the principle behind them. Never depend on one. Now, this does not mean you need to start 5 businesses tomorrow. That is not the message. The message is direction. The question is not, how do I build 10 income streams right now? The question is, what is one small stream I could begin building today alongside what I already have? A skill you already own that other people would pay to learn. A space in your home that someone would pay to use. A small investment that grows slowly but consistently. A piece of content, a video, an article, a guide that earns a small amount passively long after you created it. Small streams are still streams. The first extra stream feels almost meaningless. $20 a month, $50 a month. It does not feel like freedom. But that is not the point of the first stream. The point of the first stream is the proof. The proof that income can come from somewhere other than your main job. The proof that you can build something that generates value without you trading every hour for every dollar. That proof changes how you think. And when your thinking changes, your actions change. And when your actions change over months and years, your financial life changes completely. A disciplined mindset says, I will find one new stream, build it slowly, and then find the next. A dependent mindset says, my job pays enough for now, and hopes that nothing changes. But things change. They always change. Industries shift. Companies restructure. The world moves in directions nobody predicted. The people who survive those shifts and sometimes thrive because of them are the ones who are not completely dependent on any single source when the change arrived. The rules exist, you just were never shown them. And rule 6 is this: start building your net before you need it. Not because your rope is weak. Maybe your rope is very strong right now. Build the net anyway. Because the goal is not to survive the fall. The goal is to build something strong enough that a single cut cannot bring your entire financial life down with it. One stream is a starting point. It was never meant to be the destination. Rule 7. Financial literacy is not optional. It is self-defense. Listen carefully. Every single day, systems are operating around you that are designed to separate you from your money. Not violently, not illegally, quietly, professionally. With excellent marketing and very fine print. The credit card that charges you 20% interest while you make minimum payments and believe you are managing fine. The loan with fees buried so deep in the document that most people never find them until it is too late. The investment product that sounds impressive and safe, but pays the person selling it far more than it will ever pay you. The subscription that renews automatically and counts on the fact that you will not notice until 3 years have passed. These are not accidents. They are systems, and they work best on people who do not understand money. When you do not understand money, other people make decisions about your money for you. And the people making those decisions are not thinking about your future. They are thinking about theirs. This is not a conspiracy. This is not about blaming banks or companies or the economy. It is about being honest about how the world works. And how the world works is this: financial knowledge protects you. The absence of financial knowledge costs you. Not once, not occasionally, every single month, in small amounts and large ones, for your entire life. Oprah Winfrey grew up with very little. There was no financial safety net in her childhood. No one sat her down and explained interest rates or investment accounts, or the difference between income and wealth. She had to learn. She chose to learn. And she has spoken openly about the fact that understanding money, truly understanding it, was one of the most important decisions she made as she built everything she built. Not just earning more, understanding more. That understanding is available to everyone. It is not locked behind expensive schools or exclusive clubs. Books, videos, conversations with people who know more than you, asking questions that once felt embarrassing to ask. All of it is accessible, and all of it pays returns that compound just like money does. Because here is what nobody tells you about financial literacy. It is not just about knowing facts. It is about developing instincts. The instinct that slows you down when something sounds too good. The instinct that makes you read the full document before you sign. The instinct that makes you ask who benefits from this deal and make sure the honest answer includes you. Those instincts do not arrive automatically. They are built through learning. Through mistakes you survive and learn from. Through the slow, consistent process of taking your own financial education seriously. Jim Rohn understood this deeply. He believed that what you know determines what you earn. Not perfectly, not without exception, but consistently over time across thousands of lives, knowledge and financial outcomes are connected in ways that are impossible to ignore. The person who understands compound interest uses it. The person who does not understand it pays it. The person who understands how credit works avoids the traps inside it. The person who does not understand it walks straight into them. The person who understands investment basics makes decisions from knowledge. The person who does not understand it makes decisions from fear or from trust placed in the wrong hands. Knowledge is protection. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is the one financial asset that nobody can take from you once you have built it. You started today. You chose to listen. You chose to learn. That choice already puts you ahead of the version of yourself that clicked away 5 minutes in. It puts you ahead of the millions of people who know they should learn about money and keep finding reasons not to. This is Rule 7. And in many ways, it is the most important rule of all. Because without it, the other 6 rules are just words you read once and forgot. With it, those 6 rules become a foundation you can actually build on. Learn. Keep learning. Never stop. The rules exist. You just were never shown them. Until now. 7 rules. Let us bring them together. Rule 1. Learn the difference between assets and liabilities. Buy things that put money in your pocket before you buy things that take money out. Rule 2. Pay yourself first. Before the bills, before the expenses, before anything else. A fixed amount every time without exception. Rule 3. Money is a tool, not a goal. Change your relationship with it before you try to change your balance. Use it deliberately. Use it to build the life you actually want. Rule 4. Start now. The cost of waiting is not just the money you fail to save. It is every year of compound growth that disappears while you tell yourself you will begin later. Rule 5. Examine your spending identity. Ask honestly whether your money is building your future or performing a version of success for people around you. Choose consciously. Spend deliberately. Rule 6. Build a net, not a rope. One income stream is a starting point. Begin building the next one, however small, before you need it. Rule 7. Make financial literacy a lifelong practice. Understand money deeply enough to protect yourself from systems that profit from your confusion. Learn. Keep learning. Never stop. These are not complicated ideas. They do not require a special background or a large income to begin with. They require a decision to take your own financial future seriously, a decision to learn what schools never taught, a decision to do what most people around you are not doing so that you can eventually live in a way that most people around you cannot. The rules exist. You just were never shown them. Now you have been. What you do next is up to you. If this lesson helped you think differently about money, leave a comment below. Which rule hit you the hardest? Which one are you going to act on first? Tell me. I read every comment. The same principle that builds wealth builds every good thing worth having. Consistency over time, applied with patience, produces results that feel almost impossible until suddenly they are real. Keep listening daily, and your English will grow with your wealth. See you in the next lesson.